cut.
Bam, we're live.
What's the workout?
2 on, 2 off for 5 sets. 20 power snatch, max cal row. I did 85 pounds on a short bar. So I could go for bigger sets. We haven't done light power snatches in a while in our own training. Taylor did 95 and went unbroken. I did 12-8 the whole time. And today's probably the first day my hamstrings aren't sore anymore from doing this.
My hamstring is definitely sore today, but it's not from this workout. Those shoes look sick. The only thing I hate about this angle is that I can't see my overhead position. I mean, all my reps look really smooth. I think for all 5 rounds, they look extremely smooth. I just do a really good job of keeping the barbell close on the way up and down, which is critical when you're cycling a light barbell. Like, what I try to think about is keeping my feet, like, glued to the same spot so that my heels and toes aren't really moving. If there's any foot movement, it's when I extend my hips rapidly. The momentum of that might pick my heels up like an inch from the floor, but I don't jump them out. I'm not, like, stepping around. I'm not overly toesy. I'm also not overly sitting back and, like, my toes are peeled up off the floor. So I really try to focus on really clean foot position and a really smooth bar path. Like, I guess I am jumping a little bit, but even still, like, you notice my feet aren't jumping out. It's like they land in the same spot every time, and I'm using almost all of that hip extension foot jump to go right into the barbell. But look on the way down. This is critical. It's a straight line. I don't hit anything, and I'm able to take the bar right back to that perfect setup position where it's just grazing my shin. That is probably one of the most important skills to learn in light barbell cycling, or even heavy barbell cycling, is a restriction-free return to your standard setup position.
Do you think that it's objectively the right way? Because I touch my hip on the way down, because if I don't, I feel like my back blows up way faster.
Well, then you're just allowing to get the barbell too far out in front of you to not touch your thigh, but there is a way to do it. There is a workaround where you don't have to touch your thigh, and the barbell also doesn't have to be too out in front.
Well, even if it's not out in front, if it's not touching anything, then it's more, you have to use your back to
No,
keep it.
not necessarily. I mean, my back didn't blow up at all on this workout. It was all grip.
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
your
not saying,
back is like,
No.
your back is like iron.
That's I literally threw my back out yesterday, so I wouldn't say it's iron, but just like I'm not forward at all. Like, look at my movement.
Right. And I don't think you have to be forward. I'm just saying, like, my hip catches a little bit of the weight on the way down. I mean, it's barely, like, you can watch mine, but it still helps me not blow up my legs and back as much, because then my structure is supporting the weight on the way down as opposed to my muscles.
Yeah.
I mean, your way is definitely faster, but I'm just thinking,
If you like, this is kind of probably a similar. We can draw a comparison to what I was talking about with my burpees. How I'm so good at moving efficiently on burpees. I don't need to practice efficient burpees anymore. I need to practice the hardest possible variation.
Yeah.
For you, you're a very good mover. You're very efficient on the barbell. So instead of trying to practice the most efficient way for you, get better at a way that feels harder, but is definitely faster, is definitely smoother.
well, I also had to do 10 pounds less, and I broke it up every time. So I wouldn't say that I'm at the point where I'm good enough at that to work on the hardest way.
But maybe if you worked on the hardest way first, you'd improve overall a lot quicker.
Yeah, I get that.
That's besides the point. It's a good workout. I mean, for me, my whole goal for the workout was to keep all 5 sets of 20 snatches unbroken and to row at a consistent pace that allowed me to keep the snatches unbroken. You'll notice I am making hip contact. I'm not doing a no hip contact power snatch. I'm also not doing a hip contact muscle snatch. I think for 20 reps, I just wanted to practice my best technique cycling a power snatch for high volume, and to me, this felt the most efficient. Again, my back, hamstrings felt fine. The hardest part was like around reps 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 is my grip and traps, actually.
The limiter while we were doing it was definitely my grip and like biceps.
Yeah.
But afterwards, my hamstrings were really
Yeah,
sore
the next
day.
day. Yeah, the next day I had pretty bad DOMs. I tweaked my hamstring sprinting like
A day
3
after
weeks. No, 3 weeks ago.
Oh, it was before this.
Yeah, and it felt fine on this workout. I was actually feeling like 100%. And then yesterday we were doing extremely heavy farmer carries, and I was like reaching and pulling with my hamstrings a lot, and didn't tweak it again, but it got very like if you just feel some muscle strain, you feel that kind of tingle right on the string. It's just a little sore.
I think on our last set we were facing the camera.
Yeah.
I think coming up is maybe our 4th. Oh no,
Yep.
this is our last set.
Oh, here we go. You only recorded 4 sets.
That's not true.
Well, then how is the video 7 minutes? Oh, you rushed
we cut
the
out
row.
the rows
Gotcha.
and rest.
See, these look just great. Not to suck my own meat, but I do still have an early arm bend, but that's I always snatch with an early arm bend.
I mean, I do a little bit too. Do you think that's why our grip was blowing up so much? Or that was at least a limiter?
I mean, when you always snatch that way, you get a little bit used to it, but
I agree.
definitely.
Like, I don't know if it's worth changing just for a
No,
workout
for me,
like
it's not.
this.
I'm never changing my snatch. I don't give a fuck. I snatch 305. Why would I change anything? And I'm not an Olympic weightlifter. Not to say, okay, there's like hubris. There are things that I always am trying to work on and improve in my snatch technique, but that early arm bend's not one of them. It's just something I've always done. I learned snatching watching Rich. Rich does it. I'm pretty sure that's why I started to do it. And also I just feel more secure overhead with a slightly narrower grip, so I have to get that slight arm bend to hit the crease of my hip correctly. Whereas if I widen my grip, I wouldn't need to do that, but I don't want to widen my grip and I don't want to focus on that. Again, it's kind of like a third wave adaptation. Like if I'm focusing way too much on that little nuance, I'm missing bigger things elsewhere that I could be working on.
I agree.
Especially with a 305 snatch.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I wasn't suggesting that. I just mean more like...
I get what you're saying. I definitely think it results in more grip fatigue.
Yeah.
Over the course of hundreds of reps, without a doubt.
I
Or
do
even
it as
100
well,
reps.
but I think more for me it was just like a natural thing
Yeah.
because I didn't watch Rich snatch really.
Yeah.
I started CrossFit in 2019, 2020, so...
You'll notice I kind of have that early lean back in my row. I am trying to fix that. That's something I am trying to fix. But with my knee, when I am in that deep flexion position, driving out of the bottom, sometimes it's sore and I get this kind of popping sensation, like almost rollover, like muscular rollover or whatever. Or even if it's just bone on bone, like grinding, it feels like in the bottom.
Do you also think that is like what row technique you use might be dependent on the workout?
Definitely sometimes because I change it, but I notice sometimes I have that rollover no matter what, especially if I am in a perfect deadlift setup and I'm not that deep flexion, I'm at like a 90-degree knee angle, and I drive from the legs first really hard, I feel it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I lean early I use a lot of my
get
back.
more to like a just leg press position.
Exactly, less tension in that area, which is, maybe it's an excuse, but people always ask me like, why do you row like that? I'm like, definitely
I would say
prefer
it's
to
the
row
most
like
common
that.
fault in in a CrossFit gym, but also even at the games, like you can still find every other person rowing like that.
That would be something worth focusing on as opposed to like a
early arm bend.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, an early arm bend on a snatch, especially when you're really good at the snatch. Because that could also be, as long as your early arm bend is kind of throughout the movement, it's not like you don't get past the knee and then initiate the arm bend. If you have an arm bend from the start, kind of like if you have slight global flexion and a pull from the floor from the start, well, there's no real spinal deviation. Your setup position is just uncommon.
I think the biggest thing, like when you see the early arm bend being a huge problem that needs to be fixed, is when there's an arm bend and then after extension, the arm's straight. You're losing a lot if you do that. But me and you both keep it there. And either way, this workout was like a really good way to get a lot of intensity, but still have so many reps to work on like little technical things like that. And I thought it was really fun.
Yeah. Good workout. Give it a try. Give it a rip. It's coming out on Sentinel this week. Friday? Saturday?
I thought it was next week, early next week. I could be wrong.
I think it's this week because Logan did it a few days ago.
Yeah. What's today's date?
Wednesday.
That's the date.
Shut up. The 20th.
Oh, I thought it already happened then. It's coming up.
We think.
I'll maybe put it in the video.
All right. Deuces, people.